Babysitting seems simple, until the house changes after dark. Story 1. The cabin was supposed to be a quick gig, $150 for 3 hours of babysitting. The parents, a couple named Mark and Claire, insisted on precautions. They handed me a flashlight, a spare key, and a warning. Don't go into the West Room, not ever. Their 6-month-old, Lily, had been fussy all week, they said. But I'd handle it. I always did. The woods swallowed their car as they left, too eager to escape the rain. I heard Lily's faint whimper from her room down the hall. Her cry was odd, monotone, like a recorded sound effect. Still, I knocked and called, "I'm here, sweetie." No reply. Maybe she was napping. The house creaked as thunder rolled. I settled into the living room with a movie, but the screen flickered every time a branch tapped the window. Then came the first noise. A knock, deliberate and slow. Thud, 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 on the back door. I froze. No one was supposed to know I was here. I told myself it was wind, but the knocking shifted to the front door. Then the hallway door leading to Lily's room. I stood, heart thudding, and peered down the hall. Lily's door was closed. The knocking stopped. From behind me, a floorboard groaned. I spun, but the room was empty. My phone showed a single bar. No signal. The flashlight felt heavier in my hand. Somewhere, a child laughed. High, wet, and gurgly, like water in a well. It came from Lily's room. I edged toward the door, hand on the knob. The crying started again, weak and distant. I pushed the door open. The room was dark, save for moonlight seeping through lace curtains. Lily's crib sat empty. The sheets were cold, untouched. No pacifier, no toys, just a faint smell of dampness. My breath fogged the air. The laugh echoed again, but now it sounded like it was underneath the floor. I bolted from the room, nearly tripping over the rug at the hallway's end. That's when I noticed the West Room, the one they'd told me to avoid. Its door was ajar, revealing a slit of blackness. My flashlight beam cut through the gloom. The walls were lined with old photo albums, their pages splayed open. Dozens of pictures showed Lily, smiling, playing, growing. But the dates were all June 15th, 2024, the same date as today. A low whirring filled the air. The flashlight flickered. The photos began to shift, images sliding to show a new child in the corner, pale, wide-eyed, with a jagged scar above its brow. The whirring crescendoed into a scream as the rug beneath me gave way. I tumbled into a crawl space, knees scraping concrete. The baby's laugh was gone. Instead, I heard a soft lub-dub, steady and near. A heartbeat. To my left, a gap in the wall revealed a plastic onesie, hanging neatly, and a mobile spinning slowly, though there was no wind. I crawled backward, choking on bile, until I bumped into something solid. A hand gripped my shoulder. Not human. Too long. Too cold. The realization hit first. Lily's never been a baby. The pain hit next. When Mark and Claire returned, they found the door unlocked, my flashlight by the West Room, and the photos all blank. No sign of Lily. But on my answering machine they found a message. My voice, steady and sweet. "I'm here, sweetie. I always was." Story 2. The house was swallowing the road behind me, its dark pines closing like teeth. I'd never babysat for strangers before, but the pay was good, and the drive from the highway had already blurred my better judgment. The for sale sign by the curb was tilted, grass high, as if the house itself resented being exposed. Mrs. Voss handed me a Ziploc bag with my phone number scribbled on it, in case of emergency, her fingers trembling against my palm. Her husband muttered something about the baby's schedule and left in a rush, their car tires crunching like bones over gravel. Inside, the baby monitor blinked pathetically on the wall. I settled into the living room, which smelled of damp wool and something acrid. The baby, Lila, was a ghost in her crib, breathing so softly I wondered if she was even there. At 10:03 p.m., the first noise came, a thunk from the hallway closet. I told myself it was the pipes. At 10:17, a high, liquid wail, not the baby, echoed from the upstairs bathroom. When I crept toward the stairs, Lila began to cry, her voice thin and tinny. By midnight, the noises had names: knees scraping over linoleum, a zipper, laughter, wet and broken, like a hinge in a coffin. Each sound led me deeper into the house, Lila's cries following like a metronome. In the study, I found a box labeled Baby N under a dusty desk. Inside, yellowed clippings about a girl named Natalie Voss, who'd vanished in 1998. The articles mentioned a shadowy figure seen near the property. A police report noted the babysitter that night had called 911, then hung up. The line had been dead for 11 days. The laughter stopped at 1:43 a.m. I was alone, except for the rhythmic tap-tap-tap coming from Lila's crib. Her tiny fists were moving, but her arms were pinned to her sides by something I couldn't see. The monitor began to flicker, its light casting jagged stripes across the room. A cold weight pressed my back against the wall as the taps grew frantic. Then, Lila's eyes snapped open. They were too black, too deep, and she whispered, "You're next," in her mother's voice. I ran. The front door was sealed with a layer of something sticky, sap, maybe, oozing from the wood like a wound. In the living room, the study box lay open. Inside, a new photo had been shoved among the clippings, a Polaroid of me, taken that afternoon, my hand outstretched toward the for sale sign. The pines outside don't let go. They hold you, roots coiling around your ankles, until you learn the house's favorite game. You can't leave, but you can become a new tradition. I still hear Lila's laughter in my sleep. It always ends with a click, the sound a crib latch makes when it's been there for 25 years. Story 3. I took the job because the pay was too good to pass up. $200 for one night, cash. The house was a sprawling colonial at the end of a dead-end road, surrounded by woods so thick the moonlight barely touched the ground. Mr. and Mrs. Delaney were polite but distant, their smiles not quite reaching their eyes. They left at 7 p.m., repeating the same instructions twice. Dinner in the microwave, lights out by 10. The baby, Eli, is a light sleeper. "Don't go into the attic," Mr. Delaney added, pausing at the door. "And if you hear anything, well, just ignore it. Old house. Settles." I laughed it off. Every old house creaks. At first, it was quiet. Too quiet. Eli slept through the baby monitor, his soft breathing a steady rhythm. I clicked through channels with the volume low, glancing at the windows. Trees swayed like arms reaching. I told myself it was just the wind. Then, at 2:17 a.m., I heard it. A thump from upstairs. I froze. Silence followed. Maybe it was the house settling, or a pipe. I counted to 10 and stood, grabbing the flashlight from the kitchen drawer. Another thump, closer this time, like someone stepping carefully. I aimed the beam at the staircase. Dust floated in the light. My breath came shallow. "Hello?" I whispered. No answer. Then, from the monitor, a soft gurgle. Eli was awake. I hurried to the nursery, heart pounding. The crib was empty. I dropped the flashlight. It rolled, casting shadows that danced like figures. "Eli?" I hissed, searching under the bed, behind the rocking chair. Nothing. Then, a giggle. It came from the hallway. Light, playful. A child's laugh. I rushed out. The house was dark except for the thin line of light beneath the attic door. It hadn't been closed before. I stood frozen, staring at the brass knob. The laughter came again, fainter now, from above. That's when I remembered. The Delaneys never showed me Eli. No photos, no baby clothes in the nursery, just dust-covered toys, no diapers, no smell of milk. And when they left, they didn't kiss him goodnight. My hands shook as I climbed the stairs. The attic door creaked open before I touched it. Inside, the air was thick, stale. The flashlight beam trembled across trunks, cobwebs, and a small, rusted crib in the corner. Inside it, a tiny skeleton wrapped in a yellowed onesie, one bony hand raised as if reaching. The laughter came again, right behind me. I turned. Nothing. But on the floor, tiny bare footprints, wet, as if just made, led from the crib, to the stairs, down to the nursery, and then, through the monitor, a soft cooing. A baby settling. I ran. Down the stairs, through the kitchen, out the back door into the freezing dark. I didn't stop until I hit the road. The police found nothing. No attic crib. No footprints. No Eli. The house was empty. Had been for years. The Delaney's never existed. But sometimes, when I can't sleep, I hear it. The faint microwaved beep of a long-forgotten dinner, and a baby's gurgle through the static of a baby monitor that isn't there.